Greetings, Auto Subs, VideoJames, and in a few days, Dragon's Rise of Berk will be getting a new update themed around Halloween and all the fall events that are going to be coming out. And as some of you who play the game may know, or as some of you who may follow my series on the updates may know, the game a lot of times brings something new, or the developers, Ludia, will oftentimes bring something new in with almost every update. Like in an update a little while ago, they brought the new Book of Dragons layout, and in a while ago, like a long while ago, they brought that calendar for each month that gives you resources, as well as the new kind of egg system where every month there'll be some different kind of egg, and it'll be like you have to find a specific item, and then once you found that item, you get this dragon, like the recent Sentinel event. The Sentinel Dragon Egg that was just released, I actually managed to get that, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So, this video is basically just going to be me talking about the top 5 things that I want to see come back in Dragon's Rise of Berk with the new update. So, basically, what I want to see come back in new Dragon's Rise of Berk is a lot of things. Basically, I want to see them improve a lot of stuff, I want to see them bring back some of the older stuff, and I just kind of want to see some stuff all around just stay the way it is. Because a lot of you guys know when I make my other videos on Dragon's Rise of Berk that I try and give tips to Ludia subtly about how I want the game to actually change a little bit for the better. But I feel like this would be just me sharing my opinion and seeing if any of you guys agree with it. So, without further ado, we're just going to hop right in. I want to see come back in Dragon's Rise of Berk is the old Book of Dragons layout. Now, if you don't know, in the recent update that happened before this one, I don't know when this video is coming out, so it might come out tomorrow, it might come out after the update, I have no clue, but with the recent update that just came out, they had a new update to the Book of Dragons where they had this new sort of arrangement where dragons were put into specific groups that were given a certain title, and if you completed this group of dragons, you would get a pack known as a family pack that gave you resources and occasionally a dragon. And I really like that idea. I really do like it. The only problem is, in doing this, they completely eliminated the old Book of Dragons layout. And I honestly feel like the old Book of Dragons layout was vastly superior to this one. Now, let me explain why. It's not that I don't like the new family pack system. I really do like that, because it's giving the new players that are just showing up now, or some of the people who are just starting to play, because there are some younger kids or some older people that are just finding out about this game and are just deciding to play it. And I feel like the family pack was a good idea, that it gives kind of a boost to those people so that they can get up with the higher ranks of other players faster. And it does really seem like a nice feature. So it's not that I don't want to get rid of that, believe me, I want that to stay for a while, just because it helps out so many of the new players, and occasionally it's even helped me out when I needed runes to upgrade the hangar even more. Then they just gave me the runes without pack, and I was able to upgrade the hangar. But going back to the Book of Dragons layout, the way they used to have it was they would have all of the dragons, whether you had them or not, they would have all the dragons in a line, and this line would kind of be from least expensive to train to most expensive to train. And I feel like that layout was really efficient, because it gave players kind of a way to gauge how they should train their dragons to be most cost efficient. And for a lot of the strategic players who want to kind of get their best dragons up as high as possible, that was really one of the best features. And I overall just find it a lot better than the new layout, because the way the new layout is, it's all kind of choppy, that all the dragons are sorted into groups, and it kind of makes it harder to find specific dragons of a specific group, unless you go into the filter, and I don't really want to click into filter every time I have to go looking for a random dragon. But the way they had it laid out the old way was, in my opinion, vastly superior, so that is the first thing that I definitely want to see come back, because as a player who doesn't spend money on the game and doesn't really spend a lot of cash to actually get in-game items and get resources, I find that having a way to actually know what resources I should spend and when kind of helps out a lot more than you would think it would. Second thing, this is something that I want to see brought into the game, and I've wanted to see this brought in for a long time, but I guess it's kind of technically bringing it back as well. But the new thing that I want to see brought in is a new button layout design. So if you don't know, in the game, there is a layout where they'll have the old scroll up here like they always did. They'll have the scroll up here. And then they'll have the settings right here now. And then they'll have this whole bar of buttons at the bottom and one whole bar of buttons at the side. And I really don't like that, just because they take up so much of the screen space that the buttons are literally everywhere, and you can't, like, push something to get rid of them. That you can't get a tab to just shove all the buttons back into. And I really don't like that, because it kind of disrupts the beauty of the game. Because when you're playing a game, the idea is that you're immersed in it. That you're not really focusing on buttons. You're not really focusing on what's where, or seeing a whole bunch of buttons or extra features of the game. That if you want to go into an extra feature, you should just have a little tab that you can click open to even get to the extra feature. And that's why I feel like the button layout right now isn't really a good layout, because it's distracting. It kind of puts everything in a position where you don't really get to see a lot of the dragons. That at most you get to see like a little tiny square. Like right now you only get to see about this part of my screen if I had the button layout up on this. And I really don't like it. It just distracts me from the immersion of the game too much. I really wish that they would kind of bring it back into a new style, like they had with the old style, where you could just tab everything away, and it would be out of sight, out of mind until you wanted to actually go into it. Because sometimes when we go into the game, it's just a quick, oh, collect resources and get out. We don't really want to see buttons everywhere. And that's another thing. The buttons make it harder to actually tap on stuff that you need to tap on. Like, something could be right above a button, and instead of tapping the resource, you'd end up tapping the button instead. So I do want to see them bring a new button layout. If they make, like, a tab system where you can just hide all the buttons until you want to see them, then that would be perfect, because that would reduce the cluster by an immense amount, and it would just keep everything kind of shrunk down and just compressed. And then another thing that I want to see them bring back is technically in the Book of Dragons, but it's the Dragon's battle stat. And I'm not talking about what they have in Brawl, I'm not talking about their individual stats, I mean their overall stats. Like, if any of you know, when you go to fight the fleets of ships, and your dragons will have a certain stat when you're going to pick them, like there will be Toothless ranged 1082, or Hook Fang close range 750, then that was in the Book of Dragons as well. You were able to kind of see what dragon was strong and what dragon was weak, but now you can really only see the individual things. You can't see the overall anymore, and we don't really know the algorithm for figuring out their strength from the two individual things, so it kind of makes it hard to really gauge their strength from the way they are now. And I do wish that they'll bring back the overall stat into the Book of Dragons, just because that was a really important detail that I really liked to see, and I really liked to have that there just so I was able to gauge my dragon's strength, and just it made the gameplay so much easier. Stuff that I'd actually want to see kept in the game, I would say probably one thing that I really want to see kept would be the calendar. And when I say the calendar, I mean that little resource calendar where you can get fish, wood, runes, the little Odin's coins, and then the chest. Because, again, that helps a lot of players who don't spend money on the game get resources fairly quick. And it even helps players who do spend money on the game get resources fairly quick. But the way this game kind of goes, the resources are still a bit hard to come by. Even with all the expansions, they're still a bit hard to come by. But the calendar makes it so much easier because every day you get a chance at accumulating another resource, and you can just add up more onto that, and you'll get exactly what you need to, and eventually you'll have enough resources to, say, afford a dragon from the Book of Dragons, or afford to get one of the Odin packs from the Odin store. And then another thing that I do want to see them keep is probably the dragon egg calendar. That little calendar where it's like you pick a random item out of somewhere on Berk, some hidden location on Berk, and you actually get to use that to unlock a dragon after, some 30 days. And I actually do really like that, because while it may give you free dragons, which I can see Ludia kinda regretting at some point because they'd lose money, it does actually give you only one dragon over a course of 30 days, which is still an immense amount of time to even consider being able to get a dragon. So, in my opinion, I feel like they shouldn't really change it. I feel like that should kind of stay around, and it is actually a feature that they had a really genius idea when they implemented it, just because it works so well, and it really is a very nice feature. And then probably the last change I want to see to Dragon's Rise of Berk is I want to see more of the dragons get their own individual sounds. Because when they release new dragons now, instead of giving them their own individual sounds, like taking sound clips from the shows and just putting them on the new dragons, we don't really hear any of those. We just hear Toothless's sound. Whenever we get a new dragon and we click on that now, like with the Speed Stingers or the Booflord, it's just Toothless's sound. Or it's one of the old sounds, like Skull Crusher. Skull Crusher is one that's really reused. And I feel like they shouldn't really do that, because then that also kind of breaks the immersion. It feels like almost every dragon they don't really put as much work into, and it kind of feels like they're just reusing the same sounds and they're kind of getting lazy with the game, and it kind of makes you worried when the new update comes out, because it's like, okay, if they did that, does that mean they're going to end up getting rid of something? And I honestly feel like different sounds for the dragons would be kind of their duty, because it would keep the dragons interesting, it would keep the game interesting, and it would just add variety, which is a big draw-in for a lot of people. They don't want to play a game where almost everything is just a reskin or a resounding. Like, if we had all these dragons and they just all had Toothless's sound. We wouldn't want that, because then it's just a resounding of everything. And if they did bring in new sounds, I feel like it would bring in a lot more people, because there would be a lot more variety and people wouldn't get annoyed just hearing Toothless over and over again. Even though a lot of people who play the game really do love Toothless, just because he is one of the biggest fan favorites of the Dragon series I've ever seen. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm probably going to leave this on the Dragon's Facebook page as well, after I edit it and upload it, just to kind of let them know and let them see this, to kind of voice my opinion. I know it probably won't affect anything, because a lot of times companies like this, they can't really take customer ideas into consideration, because that'll kind of mean they'll have to credit that person, and they'll have to kind of give them some portion of their profits. So I can understand why they wouldn't do that, but I'm still going to probably leave this on their Facebook page, not as a YouTube video, but just as like a regular video, just so that they can see my opinion, and that some people can either voice whether they want some new stuff, or whether they want some old stuff to be coming back, or if they want some new stuff to just be gone completely. And that's kind of the main point of this video, is to see new stuff be brought in, and see old stuff come back, and see some of the bad stuff just go away. But anyway, I'm leaving this video here. If you guys all liked it, you can slap the like button as always. Let me know if you guys have anything you want to see come back in the description, or in the comments. And as always, I will see all you beautiful people in the next video.